ॐ वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचे प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my thoughts, words, and actions. O self-effulgent Lord, shine forth in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our ego like a salt doll. Surrounded by the infinite ocean of existence, consciousness, and bliss, Satchidananda. And let us feel as it would happen when a salt doll gets into the ocean. This ego has dissolved. The ego that is identification with evanescent body and mind. Ego, it is ignorance. It is dissolved, gone. gone with it, is the sense of I and mine. Vanished are all desires. I am perfection itself. I am essentially divine. There is no time, no space, no causation. I am the bliss itself. I am the peace itself. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin with our usual prayers for this study of Hafiz. Om Asatu Ma Sadgamaya Tamasu Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, from the limited existence, that is mortality, to the unlimited, the infinite true existence. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we are studying the poet of love, the love that shatters all fetters. And one realizes one's true, divine, all-pervading, infinite nature. And this removes all the jarring problems with religion. That is, religion that is followed out of fear, that what will happen if I don't do it, God will get angry with me. And so, shivering with fear, I do something, I go and obey and follow the priest, pour money at their feet. Then I get a feeling of guilt. That is how there is this arrangement of confession. That okay, I did something wrong. Okay, so confess. There is a story about confession, that there was a confession. As usual, there are times people come and confess. So one person came and told the priest that I did this and this. The priest said, no problem, just put this. He said, I have committed these 3 offenses. So the priest said, okay, fine, these transgressions are not much. You just put $20 in the box there and you are well taken care of. So he did that. Another person came, also reported that I have committed 3 sins today. What are they? He narrated them. The priest, he said, okay, fine, no problem. Just deposit $20 in that box and things will be taken care of. You are freed. Then another man came and then he said, I have 2 sins to report. And there was one janitor who was cleaning the place. He was also listening to all this. He said to that man, oh fellow, today it is 3 sins for $20. Go and commit one more and then come. So it is. So that kind of practicing religion out of some sense of guilt, that is, and the priestcraft. So that is not the religion really. What Hafiz teaches is the religion of love. Love that is in the hearts of everyone. But what is the source of love? God alone is the source of love, and God alone is the receiver and reciprocator of love too. So one realizes that. We have seen earlier couple of poems in other earlier classes. Now we will see another one. This is the 21st in the Diwani Hafiz, the collection of his poems. And this is mainly, I'll be following the translation of H. Wilberforce Clark, the earliest translation, although it is very literal. So, the Hafiz is saying to God, O true beloved, it is the love is only can be poured to God. The other things that we love in this world are just secondary. They are like the shadows, and therefore we can never get them. That is the problem with those loves. You feel that I love this person, but then it is in the morning you may love, in the afternoon you may not love. It keeps on shifting, changing. Because that is not real love, it is just shadow. Looks like that, when you go to grab a shadow, you cannot grab it, It is so this is the true beloved. It is addressed to true beloved. It is our true love is to God. Therefore, all other loves, they are there for a little time and not all the time. This is the true love. It remains. Not only it remains, it keeps on increasing. Narada mentions in his aphorisms on devotion this very important part of true love, like true attraction. It keeps on growing. Pratikshana pravardhamana. He describes that about bhakti or true love, that it keeps on increasing. And I told you I will repeat that example because it is such a good example, that if you throw a ball up, then apparently you will see that it is going away from earth. Apparently, but if you observe closely, you see that its speed is reducing. And then at one point, it will be kind of stationary, and then it will start descending on earth. And then if you observe, the speed is increasing, goes on increasing, because it is the real attraction. The ball was thrown up, it was something forced, and therefore that keeps on decreasing. Whereas the attraction for God keeps on increasing. So this is how the true beloved, the chamber of the vision of my eye, is the dwelling of thine. That it is whatever I see, it is actually the God that I am seeing. And that is the chamber of vision of my eye. In the next poem he will be saying, not eye but heart, that chamber of my feeling. It is, but whatever I see, what is it? It is when the love becomes, mature, then everything appears to be the images of beloved. You start seeing beloved everywhere. Like the Vaishnava literature, it says that wherever your eyes go, you see Krishna there. There is nothing else but different manifestations of God. So, whatever you see, it is God. You can think of, the life of Sri Ramakrishna and many of his disciples. It is like one Aghormani Devi was being called later as Gopal's mother. Now this Gopal's mother, she practiced the name of Lord Krishna, worshipped him. And then later on her condition became such. I am not going to tell much about this story right now. It's a very inspiring story. When that love matured, what happened? That she started seeing that very Krishna which she was seeing in the shrine as everywhere. So that is how it is. It becomes changed, it becomes transformed. Like you see the animal crackers, whatever shape they may be, what you see actually is a cracker. You are not seeing lion or a zebra or a crocodile there. Although those shapes are there, what you know is it is a cookie. It is not really a crocodile there. And so you fearlessly approach and eat it. You don't see a difference between eating a crocodile and eating, say, a rabbit. Same thing, because it is all that cookie in different shape. So you see that Lord is the chamber of vision of my eye, the dwelling of thine. It is your dwelling, and show courtesy and alight, for this house is the house of thine. This house is the house of thine. It is, the eye is, as we were meditating, the eye is kicked out. That so-called ego, what we call ego. Ego is kicked out. So to make that happen, one process is to assure that God, it is all yours. In the morning when we perform worship, one mantra, it is called technically Jivan Nyasa, that we say that, oh Lord, this breath, this life is yours. All the sensory organs, motor organs, they are yours. The mind is yours, intellect is yours. Come and stay here forever. Sukham chiran tishthantu swaha. That stay here all the time. This is your house. This is a very nice practice, friends, to assure that God lives here. It is, this house has been given to God for dwelling. And then there is no place for you. God lives there. It is, you have to go out. It is another very beautiful couplet from another Sufi poet from India, Kabir. He says that the lane of love is very narrow. Lane of love is very narrow. Either you remain or God remains. If you are there, God has no room. If God comes, you can't be there. So because it is ego, when ego is there, God says, well, no room for me. Because ego is ignorance, God is knowledge. They don't stay with each other. So, that is, so he says, show courtesy, come and alight, for this house is the house of thine. By the grace of mole and down, thy creation. Now this is the problem, that why we want to give this house to God, but a spiritual aspirant's mind is on a kind of slippery ground. At one point thinks of God, another point thinks of all the worldly things. So, and that is the difficulty. And it is, Sri Ramakrishna used to give an analogy that the established devotee's mind is like a honey bee, and the mind of a preliminary spiritual aspirant is like a housefly. A housefly may go and sit on flower for a minute, and also is happy sitting on the heap of dung. So the mind of an ordinary person keeps on 5 minutes on God, if at all, and then long time on these attractive so-called objects of the world. So this is the condition that one sees, and then what? Why? Because the charm of this world, that is, he is saying, oh God, the mole. Sometimes one grows a mole on the chin and all that. So that is an expression that is this world. This world becomes so attractive. We cannot push aside the attraction of this world, and that therefore becomes a problem, that we cannot love God. So he says, thou scratch the heart of Arif. Arif is the lovers of God. So, but the lover of God wants the love of God, but it is difficult to escape from these attachments and ties and attractions of the world. So, the mind gets drawn to those two. It is only the grace of God that can remove it. In Bhagavad Gita, one reads that Lord Krishna says, Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. This wheel of illusion, this maya, is difficult to cross over it. There is a beautiful Christian mystics book, Cloud of Unknowing. It is very much like the cloud of unknowing is the name that mystic gave to what is called Maya in the Vedanta or in Indian philosophies, that it is because of that whatever is unreal, this ignorance is described by the great sage Patanjali as makes the things just turn on its head. He says that because of that, anitya, whatever is impermanent, starts becoming as permanent. You think of it as permanent. Ignorance makes that. Things become just turned on their head. That the impermanent appears to be permanent. The permanent appears to be impermanent. Then you see other things similarly. That which is ashuchi means the impure, that appears to be very nice, beautiful and pure. That which is source of misery, that appears to be the source of happiness. So, and that which is not self appears to be self. So this is all happens due to this wheel of ignorance or avidya, as it is called in Sanskrit. So because of this we get caught in this. He says that thou scratch the heart. Your love therefore is there, but I cannot fully grasp that. It keeps on coming and going. So, wondrous are the subtleties beneath the snare of the grain, down the mole of thine. It is the superficial, but then beneath this superficial, superficial is this appearance, where there is the play of I and mine. One has to go beneath that, and then there are that it is the thy wonder is there. So, and the Bulbul is calling you there. The Bulbul is that sweet singing bird. So that bird's calling is here symbolized as the Murshid or the true illumined teacher is calling you. You hear that as it were the voice of God through that spiritual teacher. That teacher is calling you. That is compared here as the Bulbul. It is this in Persian literature many times is shown as the bird who sings the love songs. So this Bulbul is telling you, come, here is the love. That is this bird saying, this is the true teacher. So Murshid is the teacher. So this teacher of the divine, so it is mentioned here as by the translator as the perfect Murshid. Glad of heart be in union with the rose, the true beloved. That it is Sri Ramakrishna used to say that God alone is the teacher and teacher is God. It is human beings have no authority to teach. So God gives the authorization, and then that person only by that becomes the teacher. The teacher is God. So it is for in the sword, this world which is very attractive. This is an ancient, this word is not used in common modern English. Sword. I had to look into dictionary. And what is this sword? Because this translation is very old. Sometimes in 1871 or 81, at that time. 1881. This translation was published. So it is the amorous warbling, the melody of utterance of the divine truths. All is thine. This is the voice that comes to us from the beneath. Sri Ramakrishna would say that I and mine gets replaced by thou and thine. Gradually, you see that everything belongs to God. Nothing belongs to me. It can be easily understood theoretically, but when the love grows, there are stages that the transformation takes place. One idea, that as the love grows between, say, two people, what belongs to one, the other feels it belongs to me too. There is no difference as such. Everything is kind of common property. It is like a child says, this is my house. Legally, the child doesn't own that house. It probably is owned by a parent or parents. So, it is, but how the child says that it is my house? Because of love. That love brings that belonging to one belongs to other. It is the feeling of togetherness. So, as the love between I and God develop, then whatever I was holding on as mine now gets changed to God. It all belongs to God. So it is, and everything then gets surrendered to God. I and mine does not remain at all. That is how the progress takes place in the mind of the spiritual aspirant, that everything is surrendered to God. There was a sage, Rahim his name. There are many famous couplets of Rahim also. And the Rahim, this man was known as a wonderful donor, would give all the gifts. But then people used to wonder why he is putting his head kind of down while he is distributing the gifts. So he replied to them, what happens is that somebody else is giving. It is just passing through my hands. But people think I am giving. And therefore, I feel ashamed, and so that is the reason my head goes down when I am giving. I am not giving. It is somebody else, the divine is giving. So, the amorous war being, the melody of the utterance of divine truths, it is that starts becoming more and more attracting, and one gets more connected with that. So all is thine, all is thine, all is thine. That Bulbul is telling all the time, it is thine, it is not yours, not mine, but thine. So it increases like that. To thy ruby lip, the stream of divine grace. That is the illustration of this. That what is this? This ruby is a gem, but that gem is of not just a stone here. It is a giver of what? The divine grace. It is symbolic of the divine grace that entrusts the remedy of our feeble, resourceless, that is, feeble means resourceless heart. Now it is, ruby is a very precious stone. So if somebody doesn't have resource to buy things, Charlie sees no money with me. He has, but suppose no money with me, and therefore has no resources to get things, and finds a ruby. Yeah, it is. Some time back, some gentleman came here and said that, well, now he has become very rich, almost. Because they found a place where all these precious stones are, and then they have already bought that place, and they are going to now get it out and start selling them. So they are going to become immensely rich. So because they are very precious things. So when you have it, now you don't have dearth of anything. When that the divine presence, those ruby lips from which the truth is getting uttered, that is the greatest treasure, that treasure. Now what happens? That for exhilarating is the ruby medicine, the talk of the perfect Murshid, the divine teacher, in the treasury of liberality of thine, and is distributing without any reservation. Anybody can have it. It is, you don't have to pay anything for that. It is just giving. Only trouble is, although that divine teacher is giving without any reservation, we don't have the strength or inclination to take it. That is the difficulty that will be now discussed in the next lines. That what happens? In body unworthy of thy service am I, but my soul, its essence is the dust of the threshold of thine. It is as body, what am I? We may boast that I can do this, that, and so forth. Something happens, the fellow is gone. As they say, here today, gone tomorrow. It is after that, well, a little ash remains. It is, but we are still boastful about what we can do, although there is no guarantee that we will be able to take the next breath in. It is so. So this body is so feeble, but the essence of it is as it were touching the threshold of thine, the dust of the threshold of thine. It is so close, it is almost one, right there. Just imagine, these poems are to be read with that feeling that yes, I am getting it as it were. It is, I am there, feeling the dust of that. It is as if it is coming. When you see earlier days when somebody was expected coming on the horse, then first you would see the dust coming there, and then the horse and the rider would be seen. So that is, the dust is there. So, and not that one am I to give my heart's coin to every impudent one. We have to give our heart, but a spiritual aspirant has to be very careful. It is, one has to be that there are so many who would be looking to steal your heart. But don't give it to anybody. Reserve it for God. It is, there would be so many temptations. But then, no, I am not going to yield to those. This heart is, therefore says this coin, is not to be given to anybody and everybody. It is reserved for God. It is the closed is the treasure door with the seal of thine. So, and the mark of thine. So nobody else can get it. It is sealed with your name on it. It used to be that when, even now when you want to send somebody a parcel, then you put a seal on it and then mark that, and then it is, if the seal is broken, then that delivery you can claim insurance on it. It is the seal of God is on there, that is, God's name is on it. Nobody can take that coin except God. So, but the problem is there. There are so many attacks on this treasure, and we have to therefore learn to control the propensities of heart, that otherwise we will remove the seal. It is, we know it is for God, but then we remove the seal with something tempting. So one has to now think of God as the one who tames this wild horse of our mind, and all our sensual propensities, they need to be tamed. Otherwise, there is no way we can have this presence of God. So therefore he is called now, O horseman, excellent of work. That is this spiritual teacher, Murshid, which we saw is another expression, and God coming to us in the form of this spiritual teacher. So, and how is that? that what a work there is, one who has that kind of tremendous control on this crazy, unruly horse, vibrant, and running everywhere, jumping, does not let anybody to ride on it easily. So, isn't that our mind that keeps on jumping here and there? So, one has to learn to tame that. It's a work that one has to learn, that this is to be tamed. In Kathopanishad there is this analogy about the journey. There it has been mentioned chariot, means chariot driven by horse, but one can just think of horse itself. That is the central point there, that if you are riding this horse, and then what you need, you have to have the control for the horse. And this, what is this horse, is described there as the senses, and they are turbulent. They drag you anywhere. If you let them a little freedom, then immediately they want to overpower you. If you yield an inch, they will take a foot or a yard. So it is, that is how this has, the reins have to be held with perfect controlling ability. The horse is not to be killed or tortured. The horse has to be kept healthy, because otherwise it will not be able to take you on the journey. What is the point in controlling a dead horse? Charlie, is there a fun that you control a dead horse or a stuffed horse? That is, you can't take it on use it for journeying. So mind has to be very virulent, powerful, ready to go. That powerful mind has to be reined in. Powerful mind, powerful senses, all has to be there. And this is that rider of the horse, who thus, tames these senses. It is a spiritual aspirant can never afford to be careless about these things. Very important that it is, if you are careless, then it is very difficult. The whole journey is gone. You cannot move. You will end up somewhere in the ditch. And that is the story of our life, that things, we want to go somewhere, but because of not being very careful, because not having the ability to control the horse that is taking us, we end up in a place not desirable at all. So, therefore, it is the controlling of that is very important. If you are not in control, yesterday or so, in Providence, a man was driving, a young 22-year-old fellow, and then he could not control what happened, who knows. The vehicle hit some other vehicle, then went on the sidewalk. A lot of damage. One person is critically injured. Some others got injured. Why? I don't think that was intentional. that it is that driver didn't want that to happen, but it doesn't depend on your wanting. If you are not in control, then that is what happens. And that is how it is important for spiritual aspirants learn to rein in this horse. The mind-body complex is this horse. It has to be reined in. Then this is what one sees in the teacher. This is what is to be learned from the teacher. That is why he says that the Murshid is the rider of this horse. What a wonderful rider. It's very different from the ordinary people. It is this person has completely tamed the horse. It is Swami Vivekananda has described that how Sri Krishna is holding the reins of the chariot in the war. Completely, and everything is under control. The war is there going on, and yet Sri Krishna is taking the chariot in wherever he wants to take it. There is no problem at all. The horses are very powerful horses, and yet had the command of Krishna. And just he is such an expert person that just a slight hint is enough. So that is what this teacher is. That an impetuous steed, Shaitaan, or imperious lust, that is this difficult horse. What horse we have, the mind body, what it does, it gets under the control of Shaitaan, lust. It is Shaitaan is the Persian word used in Hindi also. Here the English way of calling it is Satan. So that starts controlling the mind and body. There is no control, just uncontrolled. That is the control of Satan. That it runs towards all that which is not true. And thus one lands in big problems. So it is like the ever revolving sky is obedient to the whip of command of thine, but everything is under the command of this one who has conquered oneself, controlled oneself. The whole world is under the control of that person, because that is where the world comes from. The world rises just as it rises in the dream. It rises now also. So in the waking state as well as in the dream. Do you get it, Naomi? There is no world as such. It is I is the fulcrum of that world. It is centered in it. So if one controls this machine that is called I, body and mind, and then the world is conquered, as it were. That is why the controlling this I is very important. This body and mind, bringing them under control, and then the world is under control. So it is obedient to the whip of command of thine. My place, what? Where even the sky, the juggler staggers. What is my place now? As that ego, my place, I have no place at all. Even if this magic is there, that is the juggler, I get sucked into that, and even the very skilled people stagger there in the this Maya or this illusory appearance of God. And nobody can fathom it just by one's intelligence, one's capabilities, because those capabilities themselves are they within that ignorance, and therefore cannot give us the way out. They stagger in piercing this veil of ignorance, and therefore, Lord, you have to remove it. This is Sri Ramakrishna used to give analogy. This Rama in the forest, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita, they are walking. Lakshmana is this symbol of devotee. He has intense love for Rama. But when they are walking, the order is like this. Rama, behind him is walking Sita, and behind Sita is walking Lakshmana. Now, because Sita, which is inseparable from Rama, the illusory power of Rama, not illusory power, the power of illusion, that is covering Rama. So all we are seeing is actually God, but we are not seeing it as God because of the ignorance. It is now that is Sita. So now Lakshmana wants to see Rama, but what can he do? That Sita is in the middle. So Sita understands the devotion of Lakshmana, and then therefore moves to side a little bit, and then Lakshmana can see Rama. So this is how this veil of Maya is pushed aside, and then you see the God. And by one's own efforts, one cannot do it. One's own efforts lie in earnest requests. Earnest requests. The spiritual practice is there. It is only showing our urgency and earnestness, that, oh Lord, please, please. All spiritual practice boils down to this, that earnestly praying to God, that reveal thyself to me. In Ishavasya Upanishad comes that very beautiful verse. After all the spiritual practices are described and the person has performed them, now that person after that comes to this wall, as it were, that the spiritual practice has no power to remove it. So now this person turns therefore to prayer. Very beautiful prayer, that, oh, the divine truth, your face has been covered by this glamorously shining this spot, as it were, this spot which is very shining, lustrous, and so it attracts me. I have no capability of removing it. So you remove it for me, taking pity on me. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham. By this pot shining like gold, your face is covered by that. And so tattvam pushan apavrena, Oh Lord, you please uncover yourself. You uncover yourself, Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. I am seeker of truth. So, to taking pity on me, please remove it from your face. All the spiritual practices come to this prayerful attitude, surrendering attitude. So, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that this is the ultimate end of prayer. All ultimate end of spiritual practice, it ends in this prayer. So, and then it uncovers itself. Nobody can realize God just through one's own efforts. It is like that story that a very expert exorcist, he was called because somebody was possessed by a ghost, and then he was very expert, and he used to get rid of that ghost by uttering some sacred formula and sprinkling some mustard seeds, charmed mustard seeds, and then the ghost would leave. But this fellow that day was not being successful at all. He tried and tried and was feeling terribly frustrated that never did I face such a problem. All ghosts would just, I would sprinkle mustard seed and would immediately run away. And this, what happened? What kind of ghost is this? The problem was not with the ghost as such, but the mustard seeds were possessed by that ghost. And so they were not able to now remove the ghost because they were possessed by the ghost. So similarly our intellect and mind and all, they are in the hands of this ignorance, this Maya, and therefore they cannot unveil it. So he says, oh, at the sorceries that are in the storehouse of pastime of thine, now the melody of thy assembly bringeth the sky to dancing. These all these sorceries, the cheatings, that show of magic as it were, coming and going. This world is like that, appears but is not there, like the things in the magic show. The magician brings out lot of money from an empty basket, shows that the basket is empty, and then keeps on taking out so many dollars and whatnot, so many things. Now they are not really there, they just appear. It is a deception. Magic is like that, it's a deception. You are not seeing how they are being shown. So, but now, as the grace descends, all the melody of the assembly, the God has taken off the veil, as it were, and now everything has become now filled with that divine bliss. This music, singing, dancing is the expression of that bliss. That it is that now undescribable bliss. You have no words. So dancing, you just dance. It is, there are no words to describe that. So that bliss then fills the whole awareness, as it were. So this is how this Hafiz describes this phenomena of love, that how it begins in trying to surrender God beneath this apparent surface you have to go. That the surface is the attraction you have to see below that what is seen. And then you perceive that which is the essence of it. And then learn to restrain. And thus, gradually as we restrain our this extrovertness running to various illusory objects, we become more and more aware of the inner reality. Without that, one cannot become aware of it. So this is the great message of love from Hafiz. Next time, coming Tuesday, we shall have another poem or a few more poems from Hafiz. So, any questions about today's discussion? Is there any question?
No question.
Huh?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. So let us have the concluding prayers. Put on the concluding prayers. Oh, what happened? Huh? What happened, Ajay? Okay, if not, please just repeat after me. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, oh, now it has appeared, say. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. On coming Saturday, there will be the special celebration of Guru Purnima from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this time we have decided that let all be invited for this participation in this. So you all are also invited. Thank you.